Blood dripped from Sarah's palm onto the sacred Luna stone, but instead of glowing silver like every she-wolf before her, it turned a damning, dull gray, and she smiled. Just a flicker. Gone before anyone could catch it. But it was there, and it was real, and it meant everything was going exactly as she'd planned. Impossible, someone whispered from the crowd. The High Elder's weathered face creased with confusion as he stared at the stone. Around us, 3 packs had gathered in the clearing: Shadowpine, Ironwood, and Crestfall, their members packed together under the full moon. This was supposed to be a formality. Everyone knew I'd pass. I was Dante's fated mate, after all. Destined to be Luna of the Shadowpine pack. Destined. What a pretty word for trapped. Try again, the elder said, though his voice wavered. There must be some mistake. I made a show of looking distressed, letting my hand tremble as I pressed it harder against the stone. Nothing changed. The gray remained stubbornly dull, like old dishwater. I don't understand, I said, and I was rather proud of how my voice broke. From the Shadowpine section, I felt Dante's fury before I saw it. Our mate bond thrummed with his rage, hot and sharp, like a collar tightening around my throat. 3 years I'd felt that bond. 3 years of him deciding what I wore, where I went, who I spoke to. 3 years of him telling me I was his, only his, that I should be grateful the moon goddess chose me for him. The first year, I'd believed it was love. The second, I'd made excuses. By the third, I'd started planning my escape. The strength trial, the elder announced, clearly hoping I'd redeem myself. They brought out the ceremonial weights, iron bars that any she-wolf with Luna potential should lift easily. I'd lifted them a dozen times in training. But today, I wrapped my hands around the metal, took a breath, and let my wolf retreat deep inside me. I pulled, straining, my face reddening with effort. The bar didn't budge. The crowd's whispers grew louder. I heard my name passed from mouth to mouth, heard the confusion and shock. She's not even trying, someone said. Good. Let them think I was weak. I remembered the night 2 months ago when I discovered the truth in the old texts hidden in the pack library. There were only 3 ways to break a fated mate bond: death, mutual rejection that required the Alpha's agreement, which Dante would never give, or being deemed unworthy by the Luna trial. The third option was nearly forgotten because what she-wolf would deliberately fail? What fool would throw away the bond the moon goddess herself had created? This fool. This desperate, suffocating fool. The wisdom trial, the elder said, and now he just sounded tired. He asked the traditional questions. I answered them wrong. Not wildly wrong, that would be too obvious, but just wrong enough. I switched the names of ancient Lunas. I fumbled through pack law. I suggested strategies that any child would know were foolish. Dante's rage through the bond was a living thing now, clawing at my insides. I could see him in my peripheral vision, standing rigid among his pack, his hands clenched into fists. His beta, Marcus, had a restraining hand on his shoulder. I thought about last week, when I'd mentioned visiting my sister in the Crestfall pack. Dante had grabbed my wrist, not hard enough to bruise where others could see, never that, and reminded me that I didn't need my sister. I had him. He was my family now. I didn't need anyone else. I'd smiled and agreed. I'd been smiling and agreeing for 3 years. No more. The blood oath, the elder finally announced, and I knew this was it. The final test. The one that would seal my freedom or damn me forever. He held out the ceremonial knife. Speak the oath and bind yourself to your destiny. I took the knife. Its handle was warm from the dozens of Lunas who'd held it before me. I drew it across my palm, feeling the sting, watching my blood well up dark and red. Then I spoke the words, but not the right ones. I twisted them, just slightly. Changed serve to observe. Swapped honor with harbor. Small differences, but enough. In the old magic, words were everything. I pressed my bleeding palm to the Luna stone once more. The gray didn't just stay, it deepened, spreading like rot through the stone's veins. The clearing went dead silent. Unworthy, someone breathed. The elder stepped back, his face pale. In all his years, he'd probably never seen this. Seraphina Nightshade, daughter of the Crestfall Pack, the Luna trial has found you. Sarah. Dante's voice cracked like a whip. He shoved through the crowd, Marcus unable to hold him back anymore. Our bond screamed with his humiliation and fury. What did you do? What the hell did you do? I met his eyes. For the first time in 3 years, I met his eyes with nothing hidden. I did what I had to. His hand shot out, grabbing my arm. You failed on purpose. You failed us. You failed me. Dante, Marcus tried to intervene. She's mine. Dante snarled. The moon goddess made her mine. The trial has spoken, the elder said quietly. The bond will break at moonset. I felt it then, the first loosening of the collar around my soul. In 6 hours, I'd be free. Dante's grip tightened until I knew it would leave marks. I didn't care. What were bruises compared to a lifetime? You think you can just walk away? His voice dropped to something dangerous. You're nothing without me. You're. She's standing right there, and you still don't see her. The new voice was cold, smooth, and carried the weight of absolute authority. The crowd parted instantly. Alpha Cade Blackthorn of the Ironwood Pack stepped into the circle. I'd seen him before, of course. Everyone knew Cade. Youngest Alpha in a century. Ruthless in business and war. His pack was the strongest in the territory, and he'd made it that way through sheer force of will and strategic brilliance. He was tall, built like a fighter, with black hair and amber eyes that missed nothing. Those eyes were fixed on me now. Blackthorn, Dante growled. This doesn't concern you. Wrong. Cade's gaze never left my face. The trial is open to all alphas present. The elder hasn't made his final declaration. My heart stuttered. No. This wasn't part of the plan. The elder looked between us, confused. Alpha Blackthorn, the she-wolf has failed every test. She is unworthy to be Luna. She failed every test, Cade agreed. His amber eyes seemed to pierce right through me, seeing everything I'd tried to hide. But she did it on purpose. Deliberately. Carefully. He tilted his head. That takes intelligence. Planning. Courage. The blood drained from my face. He knew. Somehow, he knew. What are you saying? Dante demanded. Cade finally looked at him, and his smile was sharp as glass. I'm saying she's not weak. She's smart enough to fool an entire gathering. Strategic enough to execute a plan under pressure. Brave enough to face public humiliation and her mate's rage for the sake of her freedom. He turned back to me. Those are exactly the qualities I want in a Luna. You can't, I started. But Cade spoke over me, his voice carrying across the stunned clearing. For words that changed everything. For words that shattered my carefully laid plans. I claim her anyway. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. The clearing erupted. Wolves from all 3 packs surged forward, voices raised in confusion and outrage. The ancient law Cade invoked, I'd read about it once, buried in those same texts where I'd found my escape route. It was old magic, older than the Luna trials themselves. A loophole from the days when alphas needed to rebuild their packs quickly after wars. Any alpha could claim a failed Luna candidate. No fate required. No moon goddess blessing needed. Just raw power and the will to take. You son of a bitch. Dante's voice was barely human. He released my arm and turned on Cade, his wolf rising so close to the surface that his eyes flashed gold. "She's mine." "Was yours," Cade corrected, his tone almost bored. "The trial declared her unworthy. The bond breaks at moonset. She's unclaimed." "The hell she is." Dante shifted mid-lunge, his clothes tearing as brown fur rippled across his skin. Cade didn't even flinch. He moved like water, like shadow, like something that had been born knowing how to kill. One moment Dante was airborne, all teeth and claws and fury. The next, Cade had shifted, a massive black wolf that made Dante look like a pup, and caught him by the throat mid-leap. The dominance battle was over before it began. Cade slammed Dante into the ground with enough force to crack stone. The brown wolf yelped, tried to rise, and Cade's jaws tightened. Not enough to kill. Just enough to promise that he could. The message was clear: submit or die. Around us, Dante's pack waited, tense, their loyalty warring with survival instinct. If Dante didn't submit, they'd be honor-bound to attack. And Cade would slaughter them. I could see it in the cold calculation of his amber eyes, the way his pack had already moved into defensive positions without him giving a single order. "Dante." Marcus's voice cut through the tension. Dante's beta stood at the edge of the circle, his face tight with fear, not for himself, but for his alpha. "Submit. We need you alive." For a terrible moment, I thought Dante's pride would get him killed. Then his wolf went limp, throat bared, a whimper of submission escaping. Cade held him there for 3 more seconds, making sure everyone watching understood who was dominant, then released him and shifted back to human form. He stood naked and unbothered as someone from his pack tossed him pants. "The claim stands," the High Elder said shakily. He looked like he'd aged a decade in the last 10 minutes. "By ancient law, Seraphina Nightshade is now under the protection of the Ironwood Pack until the claiming ceremony can be completed." I found my voice. "I don't accept." "You failed the trial," Cade said, his eyes locking onto mine. "You have no pack, no protection, and no mate bond as of moonset. Refuse me, and you'll be a rogue. Is that what you want?" It wasn't. God, it wasn't. Rogue wolves rarely survived a month. No territory, no pack, hunted by everyone. I'd traded Dante's cage for freedom, and somehow ended up in Cade's instead. "This isn't over," Dante growled, back in human form now, blood trickling from his throat. His eyes found mine, and the hatred there made me flinch. "You think you can humiliate me? Fail the trial, then let Blackthorn claim you like some." "Careful," Cade said softly. "She's under my protection now. Insult her, and you insult me." The threat hung in the air like smoke. Dante spat blood at my feet, turned, and stalked away. His pack followed, but not before I caught Marcus's expression, a mixture of pity and warning that made my stomach knot. "Come," Cade said, and it wasn't a request. The drive to Ironwood territory took 2 hours. I sat in the back of Cade's Range Rover, pressed against the door, watching the familiar landscape disappear behind us. One of his pack members, a woman with silver-streaked hair who introduced herself as Maya, sat beside me, silent and watchful. Cade drove, his eyes occasionally flicking to the rearview mirror to meet mine. I looked away every time. The Ironwood compound was nothing like Shadapine's rustic cabins. It was modern, all glass and steel and clean lines, built into the side of a mountain like something from an architecture magazine. Security was everywhere, cameras, guards, wolves patrolling in shifts. This wasn't just a pack house. It was a fortress. "Maya will show you to your room," Cade said as we pulled up to the main building. "You'll stay there until we talk." "We can talk now," I said. His smile was sharp. "No. You're exhausted, furious, and probably planning 6 different ways to run. We'll talk when you've had time to think clearly." He nodded to Maya. "Make sure she has everything she needs. And if I try to leave? Then you'll learn why no one crosses Ironwood borders without my permission." The room was beautiful, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a valley, a bed that could fit 4 people, a bathroom with a tub deep enough to drown in. It was also clearly a prison. I could smell the wolfsbane mixed into the window seals, subtle enough not to harm but strong enough to make shifting painful. Maya left me with clean clothes and a promise that dinner would be brought up. I didn't touch the food when it came. Didn't trust it. Instead, I paced, my mind racing. The mate bond with Dante was already fraying. I could feel it loosening like rope unwinding, the blessed silence growing in my head where his presence used to be. In 4 hours, I'd be completely free. And completely claimed by another alpha. Different cage. Same bars. The door opened without a knock. Cade stepped inside, changed now into dark jeans and a black shirt, his damp hair suggesting a recent shower. He moved to the window, keeping distance between us, and stared out at his territory. "You knew," I said. "At the trial. You knew I was faking." "Yes." "How?" He glanced at me, those amber eyes unreadable. "Your scent. Every time you failed a test, your fear spiked, but underneath it was relief. Pure, bright relief." He tilted his head. "That's not shame, Sarah. That's someone getting exactly what they wanted." I wrapped my arms around myself, feeling exposed. "So you decided to ruin my plan? Trap me in another bond one don't want? I saved you from being a rogue. You claimed me like property." "Yes." No apology. No justification. Just that single, blunt word. I wanted to hit him. Wanted to scream. Instead, I forced myself to breathe, to think. Why? You don't know me. You don't. "Sit," he said, gesturing to the chairs by the window. "Please." The please surprised me enough that I obeyed. Cade sat across from me, his posture relaxed but his eyes sharp. "I need you to listen carefully because I'm only explaining this once. 5 years ago, my father signed away our ancestral territory rights to the Council in exchange for protection during the territory wars. It was a coward's choice, and it's haunted this pack ever since. I don't see what this has to do with your bloodline," he interrupted. "Your mother was Elizabeth Crestfall, daughter of the old pack lines. Those lines have claims to territories that predate the Council's authority." He leaned forward. "If I had a Luna with that bloodline, I could petition to reclaim what's ours. The Council couldn't refuse without starting a war." The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. "You don't want a mate. You want a legal loophole. I want my territory back. I want my pack to have what they're owed." His expression didn't change. "You failed the trial on purpose to escape Dante. That made you available. That made you useful. So you're using me." "Yes." Again, that brutal honesty. "But I'm offering you something in return. 2 years. You play the role of my Luna, attend meetings, sit at my side, smile when necessary. You help me reclaim the old pack territories. And when it's done, I'll give you your freedom. Documented, legal, unbreakable." 2 years, I repeated numbly. 2 years of security, protection, and autonomy. You'll have your own space, your own life within the pack. I won't control who you see or where you go. I won't touch you unless absolutely necessary for appearances. His eyes held mine. "I'm offering you a contract, Sarah. Not a prison." It sounded reasonable. It sounded almost fair. It sounded too good to be true. "And if I refuse? Then you walk out of here as a rogue, and you take your chances with Dante hunting you, because he will hunt you. You humiliated him in front of 3 packs. His pride won't let that stand." I thought about Dante's face, the hatred in his eyes. Cade was right. Dante would come for me. He'd make me pay for my betrayal, for making him look weak. "Why are you really doing this?" I asked quietly. "Don't give me the territory answer. There's something else." For the first time, something flickered across Cade's face. Something old and painful. That's not part of our bargain. It is if I'm binding myself to you for 2 years. He stood abruptly, moving to the window, his back to me. I had a mate once. A true mate. Lissa. She died 3 years ago. His voice was carefully controlled. Since then, I've focused on what I can control: pack, territory, power. I don't want romance, Sarah. I don't want love. I want results. The raw honesty in his voice told me more than his words. He was broken. Maybe as broken as I was. 2 years, I said slowly. And you swear I'll be free? No tricks, no loopholes, no claiming it wasn't the right time? You'll have it in writing. Contract law, witnessed by the High Elder himself. I stood, moving to face him. He turned, and we were close enough that I could see the flecks of gold in his amber eyes, the faint scar along his jaw. I want my sister allowed to visit. I want access to the pack library. And I want my own space. No one enters without my permission. Done. I took a breath. Sealed my fate. Then I accept. Something like satisfaction crossed his face. He extended his hand, and I took it. His grip was warm, strong, and the touch sent an unexpected jolt through me. Not a mate bond. Something else. A contract sealed with a handshake felt more honest than fate ever had. Welcome to Ironwood, Luna, Cade said. I didn't sleep that night. At moonset, I felt the bond with Dante finally break, a painful snapping sensation that left me gasping on the bathroom floor, my wolf howling in grief even as I felt the chains fall away. Free. Finally free. When I emerged at dawn, there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find a man about Cade's age with storm-gray eyes and an expression of deep concern. Jace, he introduced himself. Cade's beta. He glanced down the hallway, then back to me. I need to warn you about something. What? Cade didn't tell you everything. He never does. Jace's jaw tightened. After Lissa died, something in him broke. He hasn't been the same. He doesn't trust anyone, doesn't let anyone close. And the territory claim? It's not just about pack honor. Then what's it about? Revenge. The council was responsible for the ambush that killed Lissa. They set it up to weaken him, to keep him from becoming too powerful. Jace's eyes held mine. You're not just a political weapon, Sarah. You're part of a war he's been planning for 3 years. Cold dread settled in my stomach. He said 2 years and I'd be free. Maybe. If you survive. Jace stepped back. Cade's enemies are now your enemies. And Dante? He's the least of your problems. He walked away, leaving me standing in the doorway, the morning sun streaming through the windows of my beautiful prison. I'd escaped one cage. And walked straight into another, one with higher stakes than I'd ever imagined. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 3. The Ironwood pack ran like a machine. I discovered this within the first week. Every morning at 6, Cade met with his inner circle, Jace, Maya, and 3 other wolves whose names I learned quickly: Thomas, head of security, Elena, the pack's healer, and Garrett, who managed their business operations. They discussed schedules, threats, finances, and border patrols with military precision. No small talk. No warmth. Just efficiency. Cade acknowledged me with a nod when I entered the conference room that first morning, then continued as if I wasn't there. Luna, Maya said quietly, gesturing to the empty chair beside Cade's. I sat. Listened. Tried not to feel like an imposter. The northern border needs reinforcement, Thomas was saying, pointing to a map spread across the table. We've had 3 breaches in 2 weeks. Small ones, but. Dante's testing us, Cade said. His voice was flat, emotionless. He wants to know if we're distracted by the new Luna situation. My spine stiffened. The new Luna situation. That's what I was to him. A situation. Double the patrols, Cade continued. I want eyes on Shadowpine territory 24/7. If Dante so much as pisses near our border, I want to know about it. The meeting continued for another hour. Finances, the pack owned 3 corporations, apparently. Security protocols. Training schedules for the younger wolves. Everything categorized, organized, controlled. When it finally ended, I stood to leave. Sarah. Cade's voice stopped me. A moment. The others filed out, Jace giving me an unreadable look as he passed. Cade waited until the door closed. You'll need to attend the pack gathering tonight. It's important they see us together. Fine. And you'll need appropriate clothing. Maya has arranged for. I can dress myself, I said sharply. His amber eyes finally met mine, and I saw a flicker of something. Amusement? I'm sure you can. But you're representing Ironwood now. There are expectations. You mean you want me to look the part of your political weapon? Yes. No apology. Never an apology with him. 7 o'clock. Don't be late. He dismissed me like an employee, turning back to his laptop. I left before I said something I'd regret. The pack house was massive, and I'd spent the week exploring it when I wasn't attending meetings or being fitted for clothes I didn't want. Most of the wolves gave me a wide berth, respect or suspicion, I couldn't tell. A few offered tentative smiles. None of them felt like pack. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I found the portrait by accident, turning down a hallway I hadn't explored before. It hung in what looked like a private study, visible through an open door. The woman in the painting was beautiful. Long auburn hair that caught fire in sunlight. Green eyes full of laughter. A smile that looked like it came easily, like joy was her default setting. She wore a simple blue dress and stood in a meadow, wind catching her hair. She looked nothing like me. Relief hit me first, sharp and unexpected. I didn't want to be a replacement, didn't want Cade looking at me and seeing his dead mate. The disappointment that followed made no sense. Why should I care? This was a contract. 2 years and freedom. What did it matter if Cade had loved someone who was my opposite in every way? Lissa. I spun to find Jace in the doorway, his expression soft as he looked at the portrait. She was. He started, then stopped. She was the best of us. Kind, strong, patient with Cade's bullshit. A sad smile. She made him laugh. I didn't even know he could laugh until her. What happened to her? I asked quietly. Ambush. 3 years ago. Jace's jaw tightened. The council sent her to mediate a dispute between 2 packs. Said it would be safe, that both alphas had agreed to peace talks. It was a setup. They wanted to weaken Cade, knew killing his mate would break him. Did it? Yes. Jace looked at me. But not the way they expected. Instead of falling apart, he turned to ice. Built Ironwood into something unbreakable. Now he's coming for them, piece by piece. And I'm a piece on his chessboard. We all are, Jace said, not unkindly. The question is whether you'll stay a pawn or become something more. He left me alone with Lissa's portrait, her painted eyes seeming to follow me as I walked away. My phone buzzed that afternoon. An unknown number. You made your choice, Sarah. Now live with the consequences. Or don't. Either way, you're mine in the end. D. My hands shook as I deleted the message. Then another came. Enjoying Blackthorn's bed? Does he fuck you like I did? Or is he too cold even for that? Then another. I'm gathering allies. Wolves who understand that fate shouldn't be thrown away like garbage. You'll come home, Sarah. One way or another. I blocked the number. He'd just get another one. Dante wasn't going to stop. A knock at my door made me jump. Maya stood there, holding a garment bag. For tonight. Cade thought you might need help with. I don't need help. She raised an eyebrow. No? Then why are your hands shaking? I looked down. She was right. I tucked them behind my back. Maya stepped inside uninvited, closing the door. Dante? How did you? You think you're the first wolf to run from a toxic mate? She set the garment bag on the bed. I left my pack 5 years ago. Cade took me in, no questions asked. That's what Ironwood is, a pack of strays who found something better. This isn't better, I said. It's just different. Maybe. She unzipped the bag, revealing a dress in deep emerald green. But different can be enough. And for what it's worth? Cade's not Dante. He's cold, yeah. Calculating. But he doesn't lie, and he keeps his promises. Her eyes met mine. Give him a chance before you decide he's another Cage. The pack gathering was held in a massive hall attached to the main compound. 200 wolves, easy. Maybe more. They filled the space with noise and energy, the air thick with the smell of food and the undercurrent of dominance that always existed when wolves gathered. I felt their eyes on me as I entered. The dress Maya had brought fit perfectly, elegant but not flashy, the color bringing out the green in my eyes. I'd left my hair down, and for once, I felt like I looked like a Luna. Even if I was just playing one on TV. Cade materialized at my side as if summoned. He wore all black, as usual, his presence commanding without effort. Ready? Do I have a choice? His lips twitched. Almost a smile. No. He offered his arm. I took it, feeling the solid warmth of him through his sleeve. We walked through the crowd together, wolves parting to let us pass. Cade stopped periodically to speak with pack members, always brief, always purposeful. He introduced me each time, his hands settling at the small of my back in a gesture that looked possessive but felt protective. I found myself relaxing slightly, letting the pack's energy wash over me. That's when I noticed the wine. A server approached with a tray of glasses, offering them to wolves nearby. Red wine for most, white for a few. Standard pack gathering fare. Something about it felt wrong. The server, a young wolf I didn't recognize, moved toward us with 2 glasses of red wine. His hands were steady, his expression neutral. But his scent was off. Not nervous, exactly. Focused. Too focused. Cade, I started. Everything happened at once. The server extended the tray toward me. Cade's head snapped up, his nostrils flaring. Then he moved, faster than should be possible, knocking the tray aside with enough force to send glasses flying. The wine splashed across the floor, and where it hit, the wooden boards hissed and bubbled. Not wine. Poison. The server ran. Cade was on him in seconds, slamming him into the wall hard enough to crack plaster. The party went silent, every eye on them. Who sent you? Cade's voice was deadly calm. The young wolf's face was pale, terrified. I was told to serve the Luna. That's all. I didn't know. Wolfsbane extract, Elena said, crouching by the spilled liquid. Concentrated. Would have killed her within minutes. My legs felt weak. I'd been seconds from taking that glass. Cade's hand tightened on the server's throat. Who sent you? Please, I don't know, they left instructions in my room with money. I swear, I just needed. Thomas appeared at Cade's side. The scent trail leads to the east wing. Whoever gave him the poison is still in the compound. Lock it down, Cade ordered. No one leaves. Search every room. His eyes found mine across the crowd, and something in them made my breath catch. Fear. Raw, genuine fear. Take her somewhere safe. I'm fine, I said, but my voice shook. You're not fine. Someone just tried to kill you. He released the server, shoving him toward Jace. Find whoever did this. I want them alive. Maya appeared at my side, guiding me away from the crowd. But I looked back and caught Cade's expression as he scanned his pack. Not just anger. Betrayal. The poison had come from inside Ironwood. One of his own had tried to kill me. They searched for 3 hours and found nothing. Whoever had planted the poison was either very good at hiding or had accomplices who'd helped them escape. Thomas increased security. Cade interrogated Wolves personally. The young server broke down completely, insisting he'd just been trying to earn money for his mother's medical bills. He probably was innocent. A pawn, like the rest of us. I stayed in my room, Maya posted outside the door. But sleep was impossible. Every creak of the floorboards made me jump. Every shadow felt like a threat. Around midnight, I gave up and left my room, ignoring Maya's protests. Just walking, I told her. I need air. I wandered the hallways, my wolf restless beneath my skin. The pack house was quiet now, most wolves asleep or on patrol. My feet carried me down the familiar corridors, past meeting rooms and training facilities, until I found myself back at that hallway. The one with Lissa's portrait. Light spilled from the study. The door was cracked open. I should have walked away. Should have given Cade privacy. Instead, I moved closer, peering through the gap. Cade stood before the portrait, a glass of whiskey in his hand. He looked exhausted, his shoulders slumped in a way I'd never seen during the day. I won't fail another Luna, he said quietly to the painting. His voice cracked on the last word. I couldn't save you. But I'll be damned if I let them take another one. My chest tightened painfully. I know this isn't what you would have wanted, he continued. The contracts, the cold calculations. You always said I felt too much, loved too hard. But after you. He took a drink. After you, feeling anything was too dangerous. So I stopped. He reached out, fingers almost touching the canvas. She failed the trial on purpose, you know. Sarah. She's brave like you were. Smart. Desperate enough to risk everything for freedom. A bitter laugh. And I claimed her like property. You would have kicked my ass for that. He would have. The Lissa in that painting looked like someone who didn't tolerate bullshit. I'll keep her safe, Cade promised the portrait. Keep my distance, give her the freedom I promised. 2 years and she'll be gone, and I can go back to. He stopped. Whatever this is. I backed away carefully, my heart pounding. Cade wasn't the cold, calculating alpha everyone saw. He was broken. Grief-stricken. Playing a role just like I was, except his role had become his armor. And suddenly, impossibly, I wanted to help him. Not because of the contract. Not because he'd saved my life tonight. Because underneath all that ice, he was drowning. And I knew exactly what that felt like. I made it back to my room and lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Someone in this pack wanted me dead. Dante was gathering allies to take me back by force. And I just agreed to spend 2 years bound to an alpha who was too broken to let anyone close. But as I finally drifted to sleep, it wasn't fear keeping me awake. It was the memory of Cade's eyes when he'd knocked that glass away, the terror in them, the desperate need to protect. And the way my own heart had responded, softening toward him despite every wall I'd built. This was supposed to be a contract. A transaction. It was starting to feel dangerously like something more. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. The summons arrived 3 days after the poisoning attempt. Cade read it once, his expression carved from stone, then handed it to me without a word. The council's seal was pressed into blood-red wax at the bottom, ancient and unbreakable. A territorial summit is hereby called to address the contested claim of Alpha Cade Blackthorn over Seraphina Nightshade, failed Luna candidate of the Shadowpine Pack. Alpha Dante Blackwood has invoked his right to formal challenge under the old laws. All regional alphas will convene in 7 days to bear witness and pass judgment. Failure to appear will result in immediate forfeiture of claim and territorial sanctions. He's forcing your hand, I said quietly. We were in Cade's office, the morning sun streaming through windows that overlooked his territory. He'd barely left this room since the assassination attempt, working around the clock to find the traitor. His eyes were shadowed with exhaustion, his jaw tight with frustration. Dante knows the council will side with a fated mate bond over an ancient claim law, Cade said. Unless I can prove that you chose me freely, that you're thriving in Ironwood, that you're genuinely becoming Luna. He stopped, dragging a hand through his hair. The council wants me weakened. This gives them the perfect excuse. So what do we do? His amber eyes met mine, and something in them made my breath catch. We give them a performance they can't refute. We show them a Luna who's not just surviving but thriving. A partnership that's stronger than fate. How convincing do we need to be? Very. He stood, moving to the window. They'll be looking for cracks, inconsistencies. We'll need to. He hesitated. We'll need to appear bonded. Deeply bonded. Heat crept up my neck. You mean act like we're genuinely falling for each other? Yes. The words hung between us, dangerous and complicated. I can do that, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Cade's shoulders tensed. He didn't look at me. Sarah, there's something you should know. The last few days, I've been feeling things. Through what should be empty air. Finally, he turned. Your emotions. Faint, but there. Fear when you got those messages from Dante. Anger when Thomas questioned you about the poison. Determination when you insisted on continuing your Luna duties. My heart stuttered. That's impossible. We don't have a bond. I know. His expression was troubled. But I'm not imagining it. And if I can feel you, then maybe I can feel you too, I finished. I thought about the last few days. The way I'd known Cade was in the building before seeing him. The flash of his exhaustion I'd felt when I'd passed his office late at night. The surge of his protective fury during the poisoning attempt. I'd thought it was just heightened awareness, the natural result of living in close quarters. But wolves didn't sink like this. Not without a bond. Failed Lunas don't form new bonds, I said. The trial marks them. Separates them from that possibility. Unless you didn't actually fail. Cade's eyes searched mine. Unless something else happened during that trial. My mouth went dry. He was too smart, too perceptive. I failed every test. You saw. I saw you sabotage yourself brilliantly. He moved closer, and I had to fight the urge to step back. But what if your wolf never actually accepted the failure? What if some part of you was still open? That's not how it works. Then explain why I can feel you right now. His voice dropped. Your fear. Your guilt. Your. He stopped, his expression shifting. You're lying to me. About something important. Damn him and his newfound ability to read me. The summit is in 7 days, I said, deflecting. We should focus on that. Cade studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Fine. We'll table this. But Sarah? His amber eyes held mine. Whatever secret you're keeping, it's going to come out eventually. They always do. Preparing for the summit consumed the next 5 days. Maya drilled me on pack politics, teaching me the names and territories of every alpha who'd be attending. Elena coached me on Luna protocols, where to stand, how to address the council, which wolves held real power versus ceremonial positions. Cade and I practiced together every evening, learning to move in sync, to anticipate each other. We'd stand close, his hand at my waist, and he'd quiz me on pack business while I struggled to focus on anything except the warmth of him, the solid presence that had somehow become comforting. The bond, if that's what it was, grew stronger daily. I'd feel flashes of his emotions at random moments. His satisfaction when a business deal closed. His rage when another threatening message from Dante arrived. His bone-deep exhaustion that he hid from everyone else. And worse, I'd catch him watching me with an expression I couldn't decipher. Something between confusion and hunger. "You're getting better at this," he said on the 5th night, as we practiced formal introductions in the Great Hall. "At pretending to be your mate? At being Luna." He adjusted his grip on my waist, pulling me slightly closer. "The pack is responding to you. They're starting to trust you. Even though someone in this pack tried to kill me?" His jaw tightened. "We'll find them. Will we?" I looked up at him. "What if they're too close to see? What if there's someone you trust?" "I don't trust anyone. Not even Jace?" Something flickered in his eyes. "Jace has been with me since we were children. He's the closest thing I have to a brother. And yet you still keep him at arm's length." "I keep everyone at arm's length," Cade said quietly. "It's safer that way." "Safer for who?" "For them." His thumb traced an unconscious circle on my hip, and heat pooled in my stomach. "Everyone I've ever loved has been used against me. My father, poisoned by rivals. Lissa, killed by the council. Even my pack, threatened constantly because of my ambitions." His eyes met mine. "Distance keeps them alive. It also keeps you alone." "I'm aware." We stood there, closer than we'd ever been, his hand warm through the thin fabric of my dress. I could feel his heartbeat, or was that mine? The bond made it hard to tell where I ended and he began. "Cade," I whispered. He leaned in, just slightly, his breath ghosting across my lips. "We should stop. This is just practice." "Right. Practice." Neither of us moved. Then Jace's voice shattered the moment. "Cade. We have a problem." Cade stepped back immediately, his alpha mask sliding into place. "What is it?" Jace's expression was grim. "Thomas found something in the security footage. You need to see this now." The security room was cramped, filled with monitors showing every angle of the compound. Thomas stood at the main console, his face tight with anger. "Show him," Jace said. Thomas pulled up footage from the night of the assassination attempt. I'd been going through everything frame by frame. Most of the cameras went dark for exactly 3 minutes, someone hacked the system. But there was one in the East Wing that runs on a separate circuit. Backup security that most people don't know about. He hit play. The footage showed a hallway, empty except for shadows. Then a figure appeared, moving quickly, face obscured by a hood. They entered a room, the young server's quarters, and emerged minutes later without the package they'd been carrying. "The poison," I breathed. "Watch," Thomas said, fast-forwarding. The figure moved through the halls with clear knowledge of where cameras were placed, avoiding most of them. But when they passed that one hidden camera, their hood slipped back for just a second. Just long enough to see his face. My blood turned to ice. "No," Cade said, his voice hollow. "That's not possible." But it was. The face on the screen was unmistakable. Jace. Cade's beta. His best friend. "There has to be an explanation," Cade said, but his voice lacked conviction. Through our bond, I felt his emotions: betrayal, disbelief, agonizing hurt. "There's more," Thomas said quietly. He pulled up phone records. "Jace has been in contact with someone in Shadowpine territory. Encrypted calls, but our tech team cracked them." "Dante," I whispered. Cade's face had gone completely blank, but I could feel the storm raging inside him. How long? 3 months, Thomas said. Since before Sarah arrived. 3 months. Jace had been planning this for 3 months. Where is he? Cade's voice was barely human. In his quarters. He doesn't know we found him out. Cade moved for the door. I caught his arm. Wait. Think about this. I am thinking. His eyes were cold fire. I'm thinking about how I trusted him with everything. How I led him close to you. How he could have killed you that night and I would have never suspected. Which is exactly why we need to be smart about this. I stepped in front of him, forcing him to look at me. If Jace has been working with Dante for months, they have a bigger plan. We need to know what it is before we move. She's right, Thomas said. If we grab Jace now, we lose any chance of finding out what they're planning for the summit. Cade's hands clenched into fists. Through the bond, his rage was a living thing, threatening to consume him. Let me talk to him, I said. Absolutely not. He doesn't know I know. I can get information. No. Cade's hand cupped my face, the gesture surprisingly gentle given the fury in his eyes. You're not going near him. I won't risk you. It's not your choice. It is. You're mine to protect. The possessiveness in his voice should have made me angry. Instead, it sent heat spiraling through me. We're running out of time, Thomas interjected. The summit is in 2 days. Cade closed his eyes, visibly warring with himself. Finally, he looked at Thomas. Surveillance on Jace. 24/7. I want to know every move he makes, every breath he takes. And increase security around Sarah, people you've personally vetted. Already done. Good. Cade turned to me. You don't leave my sight until this is over. Understood? That's not. Understood? His voice was alpha command, impossible to refuse. Fine, I bit out. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Jace's face in that footage, kept thinking about how normal he'd seemed. How he'd warned me about Cade, about the dangers of Ironwood. Had that been genuine concern or manipulation? Around midnight, I gave up and left my room. True to his word, Cade had stationed 2 guards outside my door. They followed at a discreet distance as I wandered the halls. I found myself at Cade's office. Light spilled from under the door. I knocked softly. It's me. Come in. Cade sat at his desk, surrounded by papers and maps. He'd discarded his shirt at some point, and in the lamplight, I could see the scars that marked his torso, evidence of battles fought and survived. Can't sleep either? I asked. No. He leaned back, exhaustion written in every line of his body. Keep thinking about Lissa. I moved closer. What about her? The night she died, I had a choice. There was a territorial dispute, 2 smaller packs on our borders, both threatening violence. The council asked me to send a representative to mediate. I should have refused, should have told them to send their own people. But I was young, ambitious, wanted to prove Ironwood could be trusted with important matters. His voice was raw. So I sent Lissa. My mate. The best negotiator I had. Cade. It was a trap. They killed everyone, Lissa, the 3 guards I sent with her, and 5 wolves from the other packs. Made it look like a failed negotiation that turned violent. His hands clenched. I prioritized politics over her safety. And she paid for it. I understood then. Understood his distance, his control, his desperate need to protect. It wasn't your fault, I said quietly. It was. I made the call. I signed her death warrant. He looked at me, and the pain in his eyes was unbearable. Now Jace, the person I trusted most after Lissa, has betrayed me. Is working with Dante to kill me, probably, and take you back. A bitter laugh. I really know how to pick them. Jace made his choice. You didn't make it for him. Didn't I? Maybe he's right to betray me. Maybe. I crossed the distance between us and kissed him. It wasn't planned. Wasn't strategic. I just needed him to stop talking, stop tearing himself apart, stop drowning in guilt that wasn't his to carry. For a heartbeat, Cade went completely still. Then he kissed me back. His hands came up to frame my face, and the kiss deepened, turning hungry and desperate. I felt his need, his loneliness, his carefully controlled desire, and realized it matched my own. The bond between us exploded to life. Not a gentle awakening. A detonation. My wolf roared inside me, really roared, with a power I hadn't felt since before the trial. Cade's wolf answered, and suddenly I could feel everything. His emotions, his thoughts, his very soul pressed against mine. Mate, his wolf snarled. Mate. Mine, my wolf answered with fierce joy. We broke apart, both breathing hard. That's not possible, Cade said, but his eyes were wide with wonder. You failed the trial. You can't. I didn't fail. The words tumbled out before I could stop them. I mean, I did, but not really. I took Moonsbane herb for 3 months before the trial. It suppressed my wolf, made her dormant. That's why I couldn't shift properly, couldn't connect with the Luna Stone. I met his eyes. I didn't fail, Cade. I cheated. He stared at me. You drugged yourself? Poisoned your own wolf? It was the only way to break the bond with Dante without. You could have died. His hands tightened on my face. Moonsbane in those doses, for that long, you could have permanently damaged your wolf, or... But I didn't. I covered his hands with mine. She's still here. Stronger than ever, apparently. I swallowed hard. And she's claiming you as mate. Second chance mates, Cade breathed. I've heard of it but never seen it. When your first bond breaks, sometimes the moon goddess gives you another chance. His thumb traced my cheekbone. We're true mates, Sarah. Real mates. I know. Terror and joy warred inside me. But Cade, the summit is in 2 days. Jace is planning something. Dante is. I know. He kissed me again, softer this time. I know. We'll deal with it. Together. Together. The word felt right. Felt like destiny. Which terrified me more than anything. Because I'd spent 3 years escaping fate. And now fate had found me anyway, wearing amber eyes and carrying more damage than any one person should bear. My wolf didn't care. She'd found her mate, and nothing else mattered. The human part of me knew better. Knew we were standing on the edge of a precipice with enemies on all sides and a traitor in our midst. But for this one moment, wrapped in Cade's arms with our bond humming between us, I let myself believe we might survive what was coming. Even though deep down, I knew the worst was yet to come. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 5. The summit was held on neutral ground, an ancient gathering place carved into mountain stone where packs had met for centuries to settle disputes. Stone pillars rose toward the sky like silent witnesses, and the air hummed with old magic. 50 alphas had come. Their packs lined the amphitheater, hundreds of wolves watching with predatory interest. This wasn't just about a contested claim anymore. Word had spread about the assassination attempt, about the growing bond between Cade and me, about Dante's determination to reclaim what he'd lost. This was about power. Territory. Pride. And every wolf present knew blood would be spilled before it ended. I stood beside Cade at the center of the amphitheater, our shoulders touching. The mate bonds sang between us, strong and bright, barely 24 hours old. I could feel his calm determination, the way he'd locked down his fear for my safety behind walls of ice. "I've got you," I sent through the bond, still marveling that I could. "I know," he answered. "But if this goes wrong, you run. Promise me." "Not a chance." His hand found mine, squeezed once. To anyone watching, it looked like a gesture of unity. Through the bond, I felt his resignation. He'd known I wouldn't run. Across from us, Dante stood with his pack. He looked different, leaner, harder, his eyes burning with obsessive fury. Beside him stood Jace. That hurt worse than I'd expected. Jace, who'd warned me about Cade. Jace, who I'd thought might become a friend. His face was carefully neutral, but I caught the flash of guilt before he looked away. The High Elder stepped forward, his ancient face grave beneath the ceremonial robes. "We gather under the old laws to address Alpha Dante Blackwood's challenge. He claims that Seraphina Nightshade rightfully belongs to Shadowpine Pack, that Alpha Cade Blackthorn's claim violates the sanctity of the fated mate bond." "She was my mate," Dante snarled. "Chosen by the moon goddess herself. Blackthorn stole her using archaic laws that haven't been invoked in a century." "I claimed a failed Luna candidate," Cade said, his voice carrying across the amphitheater. "As is my right. Sarah chose to leave you. The trial released her from that bond. She failed on purpose." Dante's control was cracking. "She sabotaged herself to escape me, to humiliate me." "Perhaps she had reason to escape," the elder interrupted quietly. Dante's face flushed with rage. "I loved her. I gave her everything." "You gave her a cage," I said, my voice ringing clear. "You controlled every aspect of my life. Who I spoke to, where I went, what I wore. That's not love, Dante. That's possession. You ungrateful." He lunged forward. Cade moved to intercept, but I stepped in front of him. "No," I said firmly. "This is my fight too." Through the bond, I felt Cade's protest, his desperate need to protect me. But also his pride. His understanding that I needed to stand on my own. The elder raised his hand. "The challenge will be settled by combat. As is tradition, the contested Luna may choose a champion, or..." "I don't need a champion," I said. "I'll fight my own battles." Shocked whispers rippled through the crowd. She-wolves didn't fight in summit challenges. It wasn't forbidden, exactly, but it wasn't done. "Sarah," Cade started. "Trust me," I said through the bond. I felt his hesitation, then his acceptance. "Always." "Very well," the elder said, though he looked troubled. "The challenge begins at..." Jace moved. Fast. Too fast. He'd been waiting for this moment, for everyone's attention to be on Dante and me. His hand came up holding a gun, iron bullets, I realized with horror, the only thing that could kill an alpha quickly. Aimed at Cade's heart. Everything slowed down. I felt my wolf explode to the surface, not just awaken, but detonate with power I'd never felt before. The moon's bane had been suppressing more than I'd realized. My true strength. My Luna gifts. The power that came with being Cade's true mate. I moved faster than I'd ever moved, faster than should be possible. My hand caught Jace's wrist, twisting it up just as he fired. The bullet went wild, sparking off stone. Then I threw him. Jace flew 20 feet and crashed into a pillar hard enough to crack it. The amphitheater erupted into chaos. Dante's wolves surged forward, not just his pack, but others he'd recruited, wolves from smaller territories who resented Cade's power. They'd planned this. All of this. The challenge was just cover for an assassination. Ironwood, defend. Cade's command rang out, and his pack moved as one, meeting the attackers head-on. But more wolves poured in, at least 30, maybe 40. Too many. They'd stacked the odds. I felt Cade's fury through the bond, felt him shift into his massive black wolf form. He tore into the attackers with brutal efficiency, protecting my back as I faced Dante. He'd shifted too, his brown wolf larger than I remembered, enhanced by rage and obsession. Mine, he snarled through the pack link we'd once shared. Always mine. Never again, I said, and shifted. My wolf was different. Larger, stronger, her fur shot through with silver that hadn't been there before. Luna touched. The mark of a true mate bond. We collided in a tangle of teeth and claws. Dante was strong, experienced, fighting with the desperation of someone who had nothing left to lose. But I had everything to fight for. My freedom. My choice. My mate. My wolf was faster. We dodged his attacks, countered with precision, drove him back step by step. Around us, the battle raged. I caught glimpses through our bond, Cade fighting off 3 wolves at once, Jace trying to rally reinforcements, the council alphas watching to see who would win before choosing sides. Politics even in bloodshed. Dante's jaws snapped closed inches from my throat. I twisted, my claws raking across his shoulder, and felt his pain spike through our severed bond. Faint now, but still there. You were supposed to love me, he sent, and beneath the rage was genuine confusion. We were fated. Fate isn't enough, I answered. Not without choice. Not without respect. I could have killed him then. Could have torn his throat out and ended it. But I thought of Cade, of his growth, of his mercy toward the young server who'd been manipulated. Thought of the alpha I wanted to be. I pinned Dante instead, jaws at his throat, dominance established. He went limp. Submitted. I shifted back to human, standing over him as he changed back too. Blood streaked his face, defeat in his eyes. It's over, Dante, I said quietly. No. Jace's voice. I turned to see him stumbling toward us, injured but still fighting. Still loyal to whatever twisted plan he'd concocted. She's not worthy. Jace shouted. Cade, she lied to you. She cheated the trial. She drugged herself to suppress her wolf. The Luna Stone will prove it. The fighting stopped. Wolves froze mid-battle, all eyes turning to us. Is this true? The elder asked softly. I met his ancient gaze and saw something there, not surprise. Understanding. He'd known. Maybe not the details, but he'd suspected. Yes, I said clearly. I took Moonsbane for 3 months before the trial. I deliberately failed to break my bond with Dante without dying. Gasps echoed through the amphitheater. Then you're not a true Luna, Jace said triumphantly. The stone rejected you. You're a fraud, and Cade's claim is invalid. Bring the stone, the elder interrupted. 2 younger wolves emerged from the shadows, carrying the Luna Stone between them. It was larger than I remembered, roughly the size of a human skull, its surface dull gray like dead stars. Like it had been when my blood touched it. The Luna Stone cannot lie, the elder said. It recognizes true Luna bloodlines, responds to those chosen to lead. He looked at me. You will touch it again. This time, without deception. My heart hammered. What if the Moonsbane had permanently damaged something? What if I'd broken whatever made me Luna worthy? Cade appeared at my side, shifted back to human, blood streaking his skin from a dozen wounds. Through the bond, I felt his unwavering faith in me. Whatever happens, he sent, you're mine. My mate. My Luna. The stone doesn't change that. I took a breath and stepped forward. The stone sat on a pedestal of ancient wood, surrounded by watching wolves. Dozens of alphas, hundreds of pack members, all waiting to see if I was fraud or legend. I pressed my palm to the cold surface. Nothing happened. Jace laughed, bitter and triumphant. See? She's. Light exploded from the stone. Not the silver glow of a normal Luna blessing. This was silver gold, brilliant as the sun, bright enough to make wolves shield their eyes. It poured from the stone like liquid fire, racing up my arm, filling my entire body with warmth and power. Images flashed through my mind. Ancient Lunas who'd stood where I stood. She-wolves who'd led packs, who'd fought beside their mates, who'd chosen their own destinies. And underneath it all, a truth I'd never known. The Luna trial wasn't meant to test us. It was meant to free us. The light faded slowly. When I opened my eyes, the stone was glowing with sustained radiance, pulsing in rhythm with my heartbeat. The amphitheater was dead silent. Impossible, someone whispered. The elder stepped forward, his weathered face transformed by wonder. Silver gold, he breathed. The mark of the ancient Lunas. I have not seen such light in 70 years. What does it mean? Cade asked. The elder looked at me with something like reverence. Seraphina Nightshade is not merely Luna-worthy. She carries one of the rarest bloodlines, descended from the first packs, from the Lunas who walked with the moon goddess herself. He turned to address the crowd. The stone does not simply accept her. It recognizes her as something we thought lost to time. But she cheated, Jace protested weakly. She failed deliberately. And in doing so, passed the trial's true test, the elder said. His voice carried to every corner of the amphitheater. The Luna trial has a hidden purpose, one that few remember. It was created not to test she-wolves, but to protect them. To give those trapped in toxic bonds an escape route without death. To empower them to choose their own fate. My breath caught. You knew? I suspected when I saw your relief beneath the fear. When I watched you sabotage yourself with such precision. His ancient eyes held mine. The trial is not about performing for others, child. It is about choosing yourself. And you chose. You risked everything to break free of a bond that was destroying you. He smiled. That is the mark of a true Luna. Not blind acceptance of fate, but the courage to forge your own path. Then all those years, Maya called out from the crowd, her voice thick with emotion, all those she-wolves who failed. Were making their choice, the elder confirmed. Some were genuinely unable to lead. But others? They were escaping toxic mates, choosing freedom over fate. The trial honors both outcomes. Tears streamed down my face. All this time, I'd thought I was gaming the system, breaking sacred laws. I'd been following the trial's true purpose. Dante Blackwood, the elder's voice turned hard. You stand accused of attempted murder, conspiracy, and violation of summit laws. What say you? Dante looked broken, his obsession crumbling in the face of truth. I just wanted what was mine. She was never yours, Cade said quietly. She was her own. The council alphas conferred briefly, then the elder spoke. Dante Blackwood is hereby stripped of his alpha title and banished from all pack territories. He will live as a rogue, and any who shelter him will face sanctions. Dante's remaining supporters melted away. He stood alone, everything he'd built collapsing around him. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Jace Whitmore, the elder continued. Jace knelt, his face pale. I betrayed my alpha. I planned his death. I deserve execution. Cade stepped forward, and through our bond, I felt him warring with himself. The old Cade would have killed Jace without hesitation. Would have made an example of him. But he'd changed. We'd changed each other. Why? Cade asked, his voice raw. We were brothers, Jace. I trusted you with everything. Because you let her die. Jace's composure shattered. Lissa. You sent her into that ambush, and when she died, you just moved on. Built your empire, locked your heart away. You didn't even grieve properly, didn't? I grieved every single day, Cade said quietly. I still do. But I had a pack to protect, wolves who depended on me. I couldn't fall apart. You also didn't love her, I said softly, understanding clicking into place. Not the way Jace did. Jace's head snapped up, guilt written across his face. She was my mate, Cade said. I cared for her deeply. But you loved her, didn't you? Watched her choose me, watched us build our bond, and it destroyed you. She deserved better than you, Jace whispered. Better than an alpha who couldn't protect her. You're right. Cade's admission shocked everyone. I failed her. I carry that every day. But killing me won't bring her back. It'll just create more pain, more loss. He looked at the elder. Exile. Not execution. Let him live with his choices, but away from Ironwood. The mercy in his decision rippled through the crowd. Several alphas nodded approval. This was alpha strength, not just brutality, but wisdom. Agreed, the elder said. Jace Whitmore is exiled from Ironwood territory. He may seek acceptance elsewhere, should any alpha grant it. Jace looked at Cade, something like gratitude mixed with his grief. I'm sorry, he whispered. For all of it. So am I, Cade said. Guards led Jace away. Dante followed, head bowed, his pack in shambles. The elder turned to us. Alpha Cade Blackthorn, you claimed Seraphina Nightshade under ancient law. That claim is validated by her bloodline and the stone's acceptance. Do you wish to complete the bond ceremony? Cade turned to me, and his eyes held a question. Not assumption. Not command. Choice. I claimed you once out of strategy, he said quietly, his words for me alone though everyone could hear. Because you were useful, because you could help me reclaim what I'd lost. But that's not why I'm claiming you now. He knelt. An alpha, kneeling before his Luna in front of 50 packs. Seraphina Nightshade, you are the strongest person I've ever met. You broke yourself free of fate's chains through sheer will and courage. You faced down assassins and challenges, fought your way to freedom. His voice roughened with emotion. You saw through my walls, past my damage, and chose to help me heal. You made me want to be better than the cold, calculating alpha I'd become. Through the bond, I felt everything he couldn't say. The depth of his feelings, the way I'd cracked through his defenses, the terror and joy of being truly known by another person. So I'm asking you, not as Alpha to Luna, but as Cade to Sarah, will you choose me? Not because fate says so, not because of bloodlines or politics or anything else. His amber eyes met mine, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen. Will you choose me because you want to? Because I'm yours as much as you're mine? I dropped to my knees in front of him, framing his face with my hands. I spent 3 years trapped by fate, I said. Hating the bond one didn't choose, the mate who treated me like property. Then I spent weeks thinking this was just a contract, just a transaction. That we'd play our roles and part ways. I pressed my forehead to his. But you became real to me. Not the cold alpha everyone fears. The broken man underneath, trying so hard to protect everyone that he forgot to protect himself. You gave me freedom when you could have made new cages. You showed me mercy when you'd been shown none. Through the bond, our souls twined together, inseparable. Yes, I whispered. I choose you. I'll choose you every day, for as long as you'll have me. Cade kissed me like a drowning man finding air, like someone who'd been lost in darkness finally seeing light. The mate bond flared between us, no longer tentative, but absolute. Mine, his wolf growled. Yours, mine answered. And you're mine. Always. The amphitheater erupted in howls, not of challenge or anger, but celebration. Even alphas who'd come to judge us were caught up in the moment, in the rare beauty of a true mate bond freely chosen. The elder stepped forward, placing a hand on each of our heads. By the power vested in me by the old laws and the moon goddess herself, I recognize this bond. Cade Blackthorn, Alpha of Ironwood. Seraphina Nightshade, Luna of the ancient bloodline. May your union bring strength to your pack and wisdom to all wolves. The ceremony was complete. I was Luna. Not by fate alone, but by choice. And somehow, that made all the difference. 6 months later. I stood before the Council of Alphas, my hand resting on the Luna stone as I had every meeting for the past half-year. It glowed with steady silver gold light, a reminder of the bloodline I carried and the responsibility I'd accepted. The new Luna trial system has been approved, the head counselor announced. She-wolves will now be informed of the trial's true purpose before they participate. Those in toxic mate bonds will have clear, legal routes to freedom without risking rogue status. Around the room, alphas nodded approval. It had taken months of negotiation, political maneuvering, and a few well-placed threats from Cade, but we'd done it. Reformed a system that had trapped she-wolves for generations. Additionally, the counselor continued, the petition to restore Ironwood's ancestral territories has been granted. The old pack lands will be returned to Alpha Blackthorn's stewardship. Cade's hand found mine under the table. Through the bond, I felt his satisfaction. Not triumph, he'd grown past the need to gloat. Just quiet fulfillment of a promise made to his pack. Finally, the counselor said, looking directly at me, we recognize Luna Seraphina Blackthorn as the first Luna to fail the trial deliberately and succeed anyway. Her story will be taught to all young she-wolves as an example of courage and self-determination. I smiled. Make sure you teach them the whole story. Including the part where I poisoned myself with Moon's Bane for 3 months and nearly died. We'll include a warning label, the counselor said dryly. After the meeting, Cade and I walked through the Ironwood compound hand in hand. The pack had grown in 6 months, wolves seeking the safety and freedom we offered. Former rogues, she-wolves escaping bad situations, young wolves looking for a pack that valued choice over tradition. We'd built something new. Something better. Maya told me today that 3 more she-wolves have requested transfers to Ironwood, I told Cade. All of them citing toxic mate bonds. Will we accept them? Of course. That's what we do now. We're the pack that says fate isn't absolute. I squeezed his hand. We're living proof. Cade pulled me close, his amber eyes warm. 6 months had softened some of his edges, let light back into places that had been dark for years. He still had nightmares about Lissa sometimes, still carried guilt he'd never fully release. But he was healing. We both were. I love you, he said, the words still relatively new on his tongue. He'd said them for the first time 3 months ago, tentative and terrified. Now they came easier. I know, I said, grinning. I can feel it. The mate bond thrummed between us, strong and true. Not the suffocating chain I'd known with Dante, but a bridge between 2 whole people who'd chosen each other. I'd failed the Luna trial to escape fate's decree. And in failing, I'd found my true strength. My real mate. My actual destiny. Sometimes the moon goddess's plans were subtle. Sometimes she gave us the power to choose, knowing we'd find our way to where we needed to be. I'd broken the system to save myself. And in the breaking, I'd helped heal it for every she-wolf who'd come after. That was the mark of a true Luna, not blind obedience to fate, but the courage to forge a better path. And as I stood in Cade's arms, surrounded by our pack, I knew I'd choose this life every single time. Not because fate demanded it, but because I wanted to. And that made all the difference. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.